everybody, it's Seth Rudetsky with this petition on change.org. What's it about? I'll tell you what it is. Okay, so the Administration for Children's Services, the commissioner, her name is Gladys Carrion, she cut all the funding for COAC and You Gotta Believe, these two organizations that were adoption recruitment agencies, meaning they would put foster kids together with adoptive parents so foster kids would finally have a permanent home and be adopted. So she cut all the funding from these two organizations, and A.C.S, the Administration for Children's Services, they claim foster care agencies can do just as good of a job, and A.C.S can oversee it and do a great job. We don't need these two organizations. I just interviewed a wonderful young woman. She's 21 years old. Her name is Brezan. This is just a story about what an amazing job A.C.S has done. Basically, just in a nutshell, and you can hear her tell the story. She was in foster care for 5 years, and nobody from A.C.S ever told her that she could be adopted. She never knew she could have a permanent family. She just was in foster care and learning life skills for 5 years. It wasn't until 1 month before she aged out. Her therapist, thank God, found out she could be adopted. And you got to believe, I don't want to ruin the story. Watch the story. Her name is Brezan, and this is how amazing A.C.S is. Have a fabulous listen. So Brezan, you went in at 16 to foster care. And how is anybody looking for an adopted family for you?
First of all, I didn't know that I could get adopted. And I found out in August, a month before I turned 21, which I was going to age out. I found out from my therapist.
So you had 5 years in foster care.
5 years in
Did you have a
foster care.
caseworker?
I had multiple caseworkers. And no one told me that I could get adopted.
So you'd have meetings with these caseworkers, and what were they caseworking with?
The plan was always APLA, independent living. They were preparing me to get an apartment and to live on my own, which is something I never wanted because I knew that even if I got an apartment, I'll be alone. You want to have a family. You want to be able to call your parent and be like, hey, I just got into college, or hey, oh my God, this girl's so mean to me. Mm-hmm. You wanted to have a family, and they weren't. So they were just saying, here's how you're going to live the rest of your life by yourself. But you didn't know that you had any other option. I had no idea that I could get adopted. Had I known, I would have definitely went in that direction. But I found out a month before I aged out. And
a month before you turned how old?
21 in
September. Oh my God. And how'd you happen to find out?
My therapist told me because she was doing she was with You Gotta Believe, and she was doing the parenting classes.
So You Gotta Believe, yet again, the program I talked about, the program that just had its funding cut by the city, was training your therapist to become a parent, and your therapist was like, I just found out that kids up to 21 years old could be adopted. Did you know you could be adopted?
Yeah, and when she told me, I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? That's something that I want. So she gave me Mary Keene's number.
Mary Keene runs You Gotta Believe.
She do. She's one of the trainers there. And I called Mary Keene. She called me back within 30 minutes. We were on the phone for like an hour. And she made me feel extremely comfortable. She asked me about, my past, how I got into care, the people who were in my life who I could possibly get placed with for adoption. And 2 days later, I met with Denise, a social worker there at You Gotta Believe, mm-hmm. and we sat down and we spoke about what I was looking for to make sure that, I got the family that I wanted. And, yeah.
So You Gotta Believe started this process, but it was a month before you aged out of foster care. So after a month left, did You Gotta Believe say, peace out, you already aged out, see you later?
No, they were like, okay, we want to take you on. And again, they told me their slogan, nobody ages out.
So nobody ages out is their slogan?
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, and funny, a week before I actually aged out, I asked my caseworker, I said, can I get extension into foster care? Because to be eligible for that, you have to be in college, and you have to have not found a home yet, which I didn't have. I was in college and I didn't find an apartment yet.
How did you know that you could ask for an extension?
My therapist told me that as well.
Your therapist said, even though you're aging out of foster care, you can get a 1-year extension if you're in college and if you don't have a home.
If you don't have a home.
So you went to your caseworker?
Yeah. I went to my caseworker and her supervisor. They said, I'm sorry, sweetie, you can't, it's 1 week too early. And I said, well, am I going to be homeless? I don't know if I could have, I don't have an apartment yet. I'm on the waiting list.
So they basically were like, you should have told us earlier that you wanted an extension?
Should have told them earlier.
What do you mean you should? Why did they say you have this option?
They didn't tell me.
So they're blaming you for not magically knowing that you can ask for an extension?
Yeah.
Wait, so why are you not enraged but I am?
I was.
Really? Your version of being enraged is called smiling. Okay, so wait. Okay, so when they said we can't give you an extension because, quote-unquote, you asked too late, I love the reversal of blame. What did you then do if you didn't get an extension?
That's when I went to the supervisor. I said, can I talk to the supervisor that same day? And she said, well, I'm sorry, it's a week too late. It's a week too late from asking. You're about to age out.
Oh my God.
You're on the waiting list. I think you're going to get it. I think you're going to get the apartment.
So they got you an apartment?
I didn't. Still didn't get an apartment.
So you didn't get an extension and you didn't get an apartment. So what did you do when you aged out? How did you survive?
I moved in with a friend.
Oh, now, so you're such an industrious person, so you basically only have a foster family, you've been freed by your biological family, and you, first of all, I had a normal family growing up, I mean, they drove me crazy, but I had terrible grades in school. How did you have the grades to even get into college when you're going through all this sort of trauma? You're just an incredibly hard worker?
Yeah, I just know that I have to make it through college. Yeah, but...
I knew that too, but I was a lazy ass, so you actually do your work.
Yeah.
Okay, completely different than me. Okay, what do you want to be when you graduate college?
I'm thinking about a social worker or occupational therapist.
Okay, I tell you who you don't want to work for. A.C.S. Okay, so and I'm sure they're a wonderful organization. Okay, so You Gotta Believe has completely helped you with this. So now that you're 22 and they're saying nobody ages out.
21.
You're 21, but they're going to keep their... You Gotta Believe is still working with you, trying to find an adoptive family. Yeah. Now, so what does that mean? How do you find an adoptive family?
Actually, I have a prospective family through You Gotta Believe. They're awesome.
Okay, so that's Brezan's story. Now, basically, by the way, the whole reason it happened 1 month before she aged out of foster care is because her therapist started being trained by, not A.C.S, You Gotta Believe. And her therapist found out that people up to 21 years old can be adopted. So her therapist was getting trained by You Gotta Believe and said to Brezan, did you know you could be adopted? And Brezan was like, I had no idea. So yet again, You Gotta Believe helped. And just by the way, part 75, the therapist also said you can ask for an extension. Once you age out of 21, you can ask for a 1-year extension as long as you're going to college and, I don't know, if you have a good GPA, whatever. The point is Brezan qualified. She can get an extra year of having foster care help her out. So she went to A.C.S, to her caseworker. She's like, ooh, I want to apply for an extra year. I just found out I could be covered for an extra year. They were like, you should have told us earlier. Wait, she should have told them, or they're her caseworker. What? Why is it like a weird returns at Kmart? Like, sorry, you should have kept your tag. They're actually supposed to be working for the child, and it said sorry, we can't cover you. So she was not extended. Thank God You Gotta Believe came along. Now, by the way, she does not age out of 21. You Gotta Believe believes no one ever ages out. So hopefully she's going to be adopted by this family, but if she doesn't, You Gotta Believe took her on, and they will keep her until she gets adopted. That's why You Gotta Believe and COAC are vital, and Gladys Carry-On from A.C.S is busted. Please sign the petition. Thank you. Cut.